And we are back on the live stream. I tell you folks, I could not do this job without an amazing team behind me. My good friend Adam is sitting over there right now producing us, changing the camera angles, making sure we sound wonderful. Behind the scenes, we've got my good friend Chris editing up all the video in real time so we can post this live on the websites. NoJitter.com, EnterpriseConnect.com. Go there, check them out. You can see every interview we've done today, including one earlier today with Erwin Lazar of Nemertes Research. I'm joined today by his partner in crime, one of many, Robin Gareiss. Robin, how are you doing today?
Great, thanks.
All right.
Happy to be here.
I should also mention, if you're not watching this, guys, we're on Periscope. So check us out on Periscope so you get a replay of all those great ones. Robin, you have been busy. I'm looking at my show notes here. You have been busy on multiple panels already.
Yep,
And
it's a busy show.
That's right. And even as most recently, you were busy yesterday, you're busy today, and it's a busy show. I've heard that a lot.
It is.
All right.
Very good show this year. Very good.
And you know, I've
Excellent.
actually heard that from a lot of people.
Yeah.
They're really commenting on the show this year.
It's crowded. I was just on the show floor. All the booths are crowded.
Yeah.
It's like, it's a real good show.
And the
this
expo hall is like massive, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like
a lot
rocking.
of energy. A lot of energy.
And that's a good way of putting it. A
Yeah.
lot of energy on the
Yeah.
show floor. Guys, have you been to the show floor? If not, check it out. It's amazing. So there with that. All right, let's set the stage. You've done a lot of work, if I understand this right, on the intersection of enterprise communications and digital transformation. Is that right?
Yep.
All right. So along that road, what have you learned about the role communications plays in the larger digital transformation?
You know, it plays quite a strong and important role. So right now, as we look at all of our research on digital transformation, and by the way, digital transformation, it's one of those things where it's kind of an aging term, the word digital.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
little disturbing.
Kind of like unified communications, right?
But it's there, you know.
I understand.
It is what it is.
Yeah, you glom onto it.
But when you look at the communication side of that,
Yeah.
So we do a lot of research in the area of digital transformation where we're going out and we're talking to IT leaders and even some business leaders on what they're doing to transform their companies with the use of technology. So, very high level, but, we can get into some details about what they're doing.
Yep.
The key point, though, is that you have to have those foundational technologies in place before you can put anything on top of it. So before you're doing artificial intelligence or IoT or, virtual reality, you have to have the network foundation, the security foundation, the communications foundation. So as we look at our research, one of the more interesting points was that we asked organizations where they're going to invest over the next 18 months. And we had segmented a success group, so a group of companies that were doing sort of everything right.
That's right, best in class, if you will.
Yeah. And those organizations were actually spending money, investing in unified communications and collaboration 72% more than those who are not in the success group.
Wow, that to me that's dramatic.
Yeah.
What did you expect it would be when you went into it?
When we went into it, what would you think? You hear all the hype, you think, oh, everyone's doing IoT or excuse me, other areas. So, when we looked at this and saw it was really the foundational technologies. It was the WAN services, it was cloud, it was again, more the foundational technologies, communications infrastructure.
Yeah.
I'll say it was a little bit surprising, although it was also very reassuring, because what they told me was that people aren't just jumping into these very sophisticated, very complex, and very innovative technologies without making sure they could support it. So if you don't have the infrastructure so that people can collaborate when they're trying to implement these new customer experiences, or doing a connected automobile, or embedding a sensor in a particular product that you might sell for home appliances,
right.
You don't have that collaboration all in place. The chances of that project failing are pretty high, or even the infrastructure that's going to support the transport of all that data on IoT, for example, or artificial intelligence or video, whatever the application is, you've got to have that foundation strong. So to me, that's where people need to be focusing before they jump too far ahead in the digital transformation space.
And it is interesting, right? Because you could look at that foundational investment, and for some people, that's not as, say, sexy or as exciting as some of the newer, aspects of what we're developing today. Yet, to your point, when I say foundational, you can't have a great house without a strong foundation, and that's true.
Yeah, and I would say unified communications and collaboration sort of straddles both the foundational side of things
Yep.
and the more innovative side of things.
Yeah.
Because a lot of what we're seeing even here at the show about collaboration is really cool and innovative.
It's
We're
totally
starting
cool.
to see a lot of the bots going into team collaboration.
Yeah.
That's innovative. That's new, that's different.
Yeah.
You're starting to see some of the cognitive reasoning going into a lot of what we're seeing in, collaboration and other applications that are here at the show, contact center applications, for example.
Yeah.
So, when you look at unified communications and collaboration, it really does kind of straddle. There's a foundational side of it, just making sure that communications infrastructure is in place and it can be supported. And then there's, what's the next thing we can do with that communications infrastructure? So it's a really exciting area.
All right, so if that's the foundation, let's kind of segue now, because you've done some additional research here, and you just recently did a session on user adoption of unified communications. So tell me, why is that a major issue today?
It's become a huge issue, and we're seeing larger companies really invest in what we're calling user awareness and adoption initiatives. And what's happening is that we put out all this great technology, and too often people aren't using it.
Yeah, it becomes shelfware, right?
So, yeah. And in the old days when everything was on-prem, you get approval for your budget, you do your implementation, you get done with it, you'd send out an email or post something on the internet and say, hey, this is ready to go.
Use it.
And I'm on to my next project
That's
in
right.
IT. That's a sunk cost. No one's ever going to go back and look at that again.
That's right.
In the cloud world, your budget's getting scrutinized every year.
Every month, every quarter, every year, there's that number
right.
again.
And if you're implementing a new collaboration tool, and a year from now, the bean counters are looking at that and they're seeing, hey, only 15% of our employees are using this.
That's right.
Your chances of keeping that budget are going to decrease every year that those numbers aren't going up, and it goes to job security. So we do see organizations, and particularly larger organizations, increasing the number of people that they have actually dealing with user awareness and adoption. So what are we look at things like, we go out and we help organizations in this area. So baselining, for example, who's using what today? Why are they using it? Why are they not using it? What works best for them to raise awareness? What works best for them to train on how to use it? And really get that baseline, and then develop a marketing strategy around that. So IT has to market now, but not the technical people in IT. That's been a big mistake that we've made in IT for a long time.
Yeah, I get it. They're not the right people to be doing that.
No, they're absolutely
That's not their skill set.
And way too many companies have them doing it.
Right.
You wouldn't have a marketing person roll up a new server or develop a new application.
No.
Why do we have IT people responsible for marketing this out, right?
It.
So you have a lot of IT people now, IT leaders hiring into the IT department.
Yep.
People with marketing, communications, business backgrounds who are actually responsible for marketing IT services. It's awesome. The other way we see companies doing it is going outside of IT to like corporate communications and corporate marketing. It's more successful than having the technical IT staff do it, but it's not as successful as your own dedicated marketing people within
An
IT.
in-house champion, an advocate who's just evangelizing nonstop.
Evangelizing it and making sure not only that people know how to use the new technologies, but why they should be using the new technologies. So great, something new exists. It's something new for me to learn, but if I really understand how does that help my day get better? How does it help me become more efficient?
Yeah.
If I'm in sales, how does it help me sell more? If I know that, I'm going to be much more apt to learn how to use the new tool that you have in place, or give it a try.
But it's even identifying issues that are perhaps preventing adoption, that you've rolled it out and there's a hiccup, there's an issue. It could be as simple as they're using a different terminology so they don't understand it on the interface, whatever it might be. I've seen that all before. Now here's a question I have for you. On that aspect, you talk about, shall we say, in-house marketing for the user adoption. How much is that being driven by the vendor? Because it is, service-based to recurring costs. Are you seeing the vendors pushing that training and that to ensure they have that continual stream of revenue?
No, I'm actually not seeing the vendors do enough.
And I'm shocked by that.
No, it's really coming more from IT. It's more about job security. The vendors need to be helping them more. So, for example, one of the really good tactics that you can use to help people get excited about a technology or really use a technology. Some advertising on a digital billboard, for example, or a professionally made video. Most IT departments don't have the budget for those types of things.
Understood.
So the vendors can be developing these 30, 60, 90-second videos
Yeah.
and giving them to their customers to use internally, maybe at the end letting them customize a few links to
Sure.
maybe a blog the executives have written, or one of the executives
Yeah.
has written. Maybe they have a link to a self-developed video on how to, like how to use video. So things like that, they could be coming in during tech days or lunch and learns and really helping them to train and to raise awareness for the particular technology.
All right, so let's segue to my last question for you. It's my understanding that this morning you co-moderated the opening panel with the enterprise end users, right? How'd that go? Did it go well?
Very well, really good group of people. Yes.
All right, so based on that, what were some of the takeaways you got from that?
Yeah, we did it last year too, and this is a really good tradition at Enterprise Connect.
Yep.
Just to have this group of IT leaders on stage really talking about some of the issues at hand. I think a few things. The theme of simplicity came out very loudly and clearly among all of the people on the panel. How do we make things more simple for our end users? We have a lot of different ways to do the same thing now.
Yeah.
So how do we sort of streamline and make things more simple? Kind of going to that user awareness and adoption, right?
Yeah.
If you can make things simple and easy to use, people are going to use them more.
Right.
So how do we simplify was one of the big things. And also, not surprising anyway, I don't think a lot of organizations are quite as far along as the vendors and the buzz would have you think. So there were a few that were on stage today talking about, right now, our goal is to get people off of picking up a telephone and dialing 10 digits, and getting to the point where they are doing something like a click to dial and hey, click to screen share or video conference. So I think sometimes when in the analyst world, in the vendor world, when you're at a trade show and there's a lot of hype and excitement over what people are announcing and talking about, you seem to forget that some of these companies, especially larger ones, they've got a big ship to turn.
Yep.
And there's a lot to do before they get to the point where they're using a lot of these innovative applications. That said, the interest and the excitement for these applications exists. I think we saw some examples of some companies who really tried in a lot of excitement to get some new things up in the artificial intelligence space, and they weren't quite at the point where they were ready for that yet.
Right.
So I think a lot of it's just making sure you really take the time out to plan the strategy and forge ahead.
All right, so that's Robin Gareiss. She's with Nemertes Research. And if I recall, I'm doing this from memory now, is it nemertes.com?
It is nemertes.com.
And that's Nemertes, because it's one of those names that doesn't roll off the tongue. But it's a great, memorable name, which is the irony of that. So talk about simplification, right?
Right.
All right. Robin, thank you so much today. I've really enjoyed our conversation. We hope you did too. In the meantime, stay tuned. We're going to be back real soon with our next live stream.